Hello, everyone. In this video, I want to talk about how we can solve some proportions just using mental math. So let's look at 4 examples here. We're going to kind of talk through how we're going to do this in our head, but don't worry, we're still going to show a little bit of work. All right, so let's look at example number 1. We have 3 over 2 is equal to x over 8. So in previous videos, we've talked about cross multiplying, different methods like that. We're going to do about 3 more videos on different methods we could do following this video to solve a proportion. But for right now, let's use our brains here. So let's look at the denominators. We would say 2 times what, right? So basically what number would be here? 2 times what would be 8? Well, that would be 4, right? 2 times 4. So we need to do 3 times 4 to get our value for our variable. So what's 3 times 4? Well, that would just be 12, right? So here we're going to say x is equal to 12. All right, number 2. Now we have numerators that have a constant. Our variable is in the denominator of our second ratio. So we could say 5 times what is equal to 20? Well, that would be times 4, right? So now we're going to go down here and we're going to say 8 times 4 is going to give us our value of our variable. So x would be 32 because 8 times 4 is 32. All right, let's look at number 3. 7 over x is equal to 14 over 10. So now we have constants in our numerator here. So we can say 7 times what would equal 14, and that would be times 2. So now we know that we need to multiply by 2 to get from our first ratio to our second ratio. Okay, now this one looks a little bit different though because our x is actually in our first ratio. So if we want to change the way we think about this, we can also think about using division. So if I want to go from my first ratio back to my second ratio back to my first ratio, we could actually divide. So 14, now this would be divided by 2 is equal to 7. So now we can say, okay, 10 divided by 2 would be our variable, and 10 divided by 2 would be 5. So we can say x is equal to 5, okay? All right, now for number 4, our variable is in our second ratio. So let's think about, okay, from our first ratio to our second, what operation are we doing? So 24 to 8, well, we are dividing by 3. So from 21 to our variable, we also need to divide by 3. So in this case, we would do 21 divided by 3, and we would say x is equal to 7. And that's how we can solve some proportions using mental math.